everyone, and welcome back. My name is Shannon, this is Made by Boo, and I am recording as usual from a little bit outside of Boise, Idaho. Let me adjust that microphone. So I have a whole bunch piled on my bed today. I've got finished objects, I've got new projects, I have resurrected projects, I have a lot. So we will start diving right in with my finished objects. So as you can see, the first finished object I am wearing. 2 weeks ago, this was very, very close to being done. I finished it probably 3 or 4 days after we filmed last. When we filmed last, I was at the bottom ribbing. I'm probably not going to wear it through the whole video, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is a kind of cropped top with leggings. I don't feel like it's the combo I would normally wear it with, so if it looks a little bit bad, that's why. But yeah, I was right here last time. So I finished the ribbing, bound it off, and blocked it. It definitely, I think I will order another skein of yarn for this pattern next time because it didn't come out quite as long as I want it to. And I've made this pattern before. This is, oh my gosh, just going right over all of it. This is the Second Avenue sweater by Brianna Lupino of the Little Wolf Knits. The yarn is, so the brown and pink is Peppermint Bark in the 420 base by the Little Wolf Knits. I paired it, holding it double with some Knit Picks. Oh my goodness, I have it right here, don't I? I should, but I might have already gotten rid of it. We'll see. It was a Deep Stash Alpaca Cloud. So it was a 100% baby alpaca lace weight in the color Peppermint. And then the red right here is Three Loves yarn. It was fingering weight held double in the color Old Truck. Okay, sorry, getting distracted now. So I've made this pattern before the way it was designed using the boucle yarn, and I sized down for this one because I wanted it to fit just a little bit, not totally, like I don't think I wanted it as fitted as it ended up being, but it is a different yarn too. But I was also hoping I'd get a little more length. The 420 has more yards per skein, and with it being a smaller size, I thought I'd get a little more length. It didn't actually end up being that much more length. But part of the frustration is I'm going to go ahead and order another one each time, but it's like I don't think I need a whole nother skein. I feel like I need a half a skein to get the length I want at most. But I'm still going to wear it. I haven't worn it yet because it is with the DK weight yarn held double with a 100% alpaca. It's a very, very warm sweater. And yeah, I just haven't worn it yet. It's starting to, we didn't really get a good winter here. I'm definitely babbling about everything. Sorry, I feel like I'm already scattered. But yeah, Idaho hasn't really gotten the normal cold winter we would. We've only gotten snow a couple of times. It's just barely into March, so I guess we could still get some snow. But typically by now, we're no longer getting snow. So I mean, I guess we're just kind of at that. I might not wear this as much this year. It might not be much until next year. Or maybe we'll have a couple of really cold days and I'll pull it out. I don't know. I love how it turned out. Again, I doubt I'm going to wear it through all of this video because it is so warm. But yeah, that is this, the first finished object. The second finished object I don't actually have to show you. So I do have a picture. Hopefully I have it, and it's just kind of going over as I talk right now. So the next one I have is a pair of mittens. I didn't look up the pattern. Oh my goodness. I should have already had this pulled up. The World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits. So it was a pair of mittens using Lady Pearl. Yeah, Lady Pearl in the colorway Be Your Idol. They were for my youngest child. She really wanted mittens. I knew it was a little bit too warm for mittens already in this year, but she really wanted some, loved this yarn. I made her some. They got left at school. She found them again, and I asked if I could borrow them back to show them today, and she said she only had one. So I have already told her she's not getting another pair of mittens right away, but I don't have them to show, but this is also why I made sure I had a picture. Hopefully there's a picture that you have seen, not just words that said, whoops, I don't have a picture, but there should be a picture. Okay, so as you can see, had to change, knew it would get warm pretty quickly. I have 2 more finished objects. One is from a Woobles kit. I got this way too long ago. It is 3 characters and 3 tiny accessories that I am trying to make for my brother, and I just keep putting it off, but I have finally finished the first character. If you can't tell, it was Batman themed. My brother really likes Batman. I don't think he's watching this, but if he is watching it, I'm sure he knows exactly who he is and is now seeing what's coming. But I finally finished the first character, the little Harley Quinn. The next one I'm going to make is the Batman. I had most of this done for a very long time. Last weekend, I finally got around to finishing her little hat. I hit a point where I was like, I cannot face the idea of doing that 2-color again. I'm not doing it right now. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And eventually I sucked it up and did it. I am choosing to do Batman next just because with a lot of the 1-colorness, I'm hoping it will be a little bit faster, and then that will help motivate me to get the last character, the Joker, so that I can finally give my brother his nice completed set. So the last finished object I have is not knitting, crochet, or fiber related at all. So I had some trainings to do for work the other day. I can't just sit there and watch them. And I need something else to do or I stop listening. So I was at home doing them. I did a little bit of knitting here and there, but then I decided I was going to do some painting. And I have a couple of small paint by numbers kits. I picked this one to do first because I thought it would be big chunks and easy, and then I looked at it and saw how small the pieces were, and I was like, why did I think this was going to be big? But it's just a little paint by numbers, pink teacup. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it. I might give it to my youngest if she wants it. I might put it on a bookshelf. It was just more of a fun thing. I used to really love the idea of painting and drawing as a kid, and then as can happen when we're kids, I got a lot of that maybe that's not really your thing. Things didn't turn out how I wanted them to, and then instead of being like, oh, no, just keep trying, I got a lot more of not everyone's good at everything, which is true, but also didn't encourage me to try to get better. So I'm trying to, do little bits of it now, but I'm not sure it's ever going to be something I feel like I'm good at or anything I ever do more than all my other things, but it was nice to just, pick it up, make this little thing. Definitely doesn't look as crisp as the package did. I feel like it has a little bit more of that blurred, not sharp lines look. I tried to do a Monet-esque teacup without it actually being that fancy, but I still like how it turned out. I think the quick calculation just told me I have 5 active works in progress to share. So this is going to take a minute, and it's definitely going to tell you that my brain's been a little scattered. So normally I kind of max out at 3 works in progress. So as I get into it, you'll kind of understand why I have more than 3. So we'll start with one that you've definitely seen before. And this is my Quadrophenia. Get a reminder of who this is by. I feel like I should know off the top of my head, but I'm really bad about that. Quadrophenia by Kay Jones. So the yarn that I'm using is the 2025 Advent Calendar from Ruby and Roses. And I have finished my second triangle. So I know this red here is going to bug me. It's so bright. I'm not a big red person, in spite of the fact that you just saw it on the sweater I made. I know it's going to bug me, but I tried to place it in a way that it wouldn't bug me as much. The next triangle I have, I'm going to try to have them like opposite of each other. It's going to have a reddish in the same place, so I'm hoping that'll balance it out. I really do worry that that one red is going to draw the eye like crazy, but I'm still proud of finishing my second triangle. 2 weeks ago, I was right here getting ready to switch into the 3 colors, so I am right on the schedule that I've set for myself with this, where I was aiming to get 3 colors every 2 weeks, which would give me about a triangle a month. So I am now halfway through the triangles. I have all the yarn ready for the next triangle. I may start it while doing my editing. We'll kind of see where I am there. But the hope is to have this done by April. I have mentioned it before. Quadrophenia does have like a little eyelet row that if you've made it, you probably saw mine isn't there. I just made the mistake early on and decided to roll with it. So I'm leaving that out. Sorry. I do know that sometimes people will do like I-cord borders. I honestly haven't looked at the pattern much since I got it started, which is why I managed to make a mistake early on. But I don't know what border she suggests. I don't know if I'm going to do a border or if I'm just going to sew it all together and call it good. The idea of picking up and casting off an I-cord border does sound finicky and exhausting, and a lot of times when I make blankets, I don't bother with borders if I feel like they look fine without them. So I don't know. This is future me's problem. We'll see what she's feeling like later. But for right now, halfway through the knitting, getting ready to start the next triangle, right on the track where I wanted to be based on when I'm working on this project and how much time it's taking. The next project I have, I don't remember if I showed it last week. So this is one of my projects that somewhat went on hold. So if you've been here for a little while, this is my scrappy granny stripe blanket. I don't know how much of it you can actually see in the frame. It's probably about half the length that I'm going to want it. Do not pull out there. Sorry, I always keep a stitch marker in my active stitch, but it was trying to run away. There we go. All right, so this is probably half the length that I want it. And I don't remember if I showed it last week or not. But at the beginning of February, I was right here on this bright orange row. I was working, and as I got right up here to this second purple, I realized I had a lot of purple left. I had already kind of determined that I wasn't going to have enough scraps of the particular kind of yarn I was using in my scrap basket to finish this project. Based on how it was going, it was just not going to end up the length I wanted it. So I kind of put it on hold for a couple weeks. I will show you what I worked on in that time. But when I was done putting it on hold, I had new scraps. So I picked it back up yesterday and I got these 4 colors in. I'm probably going to have it back as an active project after this and keep going. But I also do want to like measure it, see how many colors per foot I'm getting and about how many more colors I need to see if I'm likely to run out of yarn again. It doesn't mean that I won't keep working on it, but at least I'll know like, hey, keep working on it. But if you start to feel like you're getting that color pooling again, or it's like, I did go ahead and put a couple purples next to each other, but I mean, most of this is decently random, but it's the organized randomness. Like I have a lot of different colors. I have different consistencies, like some of them are tonal, some of them are speckles, some of them are variegated. No striped self-striping yarn went into this. My self-striping scraps I keep separate. Those are ones that I think about using for like borders for scrappy projects, maybe something like that. But I don't have any of that in here. Some of them are sparkly, some of them are not. Like there's already a lot of chaos in it. But I'm trying not to have like purple and purple right next to each other. There's enough organization that I'm trying to have some reasonable spacing. Like I have a brightish pink down here. I gave some space before I did this neon pink. Same with like pale yellow, bright yellow, neon yellow. Like when there's colors that are going to like really draw a lot of attention, I try to make sure they're a little bit separated. But then I also have chunks where it's like, oh, there was 3 dark in a row, let's brighten it up. And then, oh, that's very, very bright, let's dark it back down. Things like that, where it's a little bit of organized chaos. So yeah, my basket is now decently full again. I don't know if this is going to be enough yarn to finish the blanket. I feel like it's kind of a 50-50. Once I do my measurements, I will definitely know more, but I have not done that yet. So yeah, that is my granny stripe, my scrappy granny stripe. I'm using the tutorial from for the granny stripe blanket from Attic 24. I added a few more stitches to my starting chain because I thought I would need it. I did not, but here we are. So yeah, it's just going to keep going. I think it's going to be a focus project again, but once you see everything else I'm working on, we'll definitely get a little bit more into that as well. Here's where things start to get a little bit more chaotic, I guess. So normally I do have a 3-project system. I finished a sweater, so I have another project that replaces that sweater. I was working on the granny stripe and I put that on the back burner, and that's where things start to get a little chaotic because I had that still going. It's still something I want as a priority, but now I have this project. So got my crochet hook. I do not want that to fall. This is what I was working on while that one was backburnered. So this is going to be a Jethro cardigan. It is by Tanis Fiber Arts. So I can't remember if I talked about this 2 weeks ago or not. I probably should have better notes that would tell me, but I think 2 weeks ago I might have had a test square. Well, right now what I have is stacks, all piled on each other. I've got all these ends that are somewhat woven in, but not perfectly woven in, as you can tell. So this is technically all of the squares that I need to make a Jethro cardigan. As you can see, I went for chaos in my colors. So the Jethro cardigan, if you've seen it before, they typically do have like a little bit more of, oh my goodness, my brain is just not working on this one. So instead of doing solid squares, theirs are typically like different colors on the rounds like you would often see with a granny square. So like I have ones like this that are very simple and one color. But this is using scrap yarn. So some of the scrap yarns I have are also like this. There's enough color chaos in it on its own. So I made all of my squares from one color of yarn. And I just went into the bucket of yarn that was between 40 and 20 grams of yarn, grabbed out one, used it, and then made one square, put the rest on, and everything was weighed and then redistributed, which is part of how I helped fill that basket up, because most of these, when I was done, turned into enough yarn to go into that collection. Some of them used up more, some of them used up less, but most of them were able to add to that basket. Now the Jethro is a DK weight cardigan, so these are all fingering weight held double. I have all of my bright colored squares, and then this, please don't fall out, dark gray Cascade Heritage yarn from Stash is what I am planning on using. It is fingering weight, so it's going to have to be held double, just like the rest of it. But I figured it's from Stash, and holding that fingering weight double will make it consistent with the squares that were all fingering weight held double. So according to the pattern, these two should be enough, but because it's Cascade Heritage, if I need to get more in order to finish it, I'll be able to. Depending on how everything goes, it could be that I use these to do certain parts of it and then use something else. So if you have not seen the Jethro cardigan, you have the granny squares, you join them together. I want to say it's in a crocheted together kind of seamless done. I have not looked into that yet. I need to. But then you do knitted sleeves and ribbing. So it's one of those where it's like if I could join all the squares together and knit the sleeves and then just do a different color for the ribbing, that wouldn't be that bad. But we'll kind of see where it goes. The only other thing that I'm concerned about now is that I do have... Some of my fingering weight seems to be a very light fingering weight, and some is a heavier fingering weight. You know how it is. Yarn weights are not always consistent. Some of these, like this was deep scrap stash. I think I dyed this using Kool-Aid like 16 years ago and turned it into socks, and I still have the leftovers. And I'm saying 16 years ago as a guess. It could be more because I might have had this before my middle child was born and she just turned 18. So, I mean, this could have been older. But, like, if you line them up, you can see there is a significant size difference. So, I don't know yet. They've all been kind of simple blocked where I sprayed them and put them on a granny square blocker. And they all kind of went out to the same size. But some of these are a very good example because they're a little bit more of the extreme. I don't know which one would end up being pulled out. This one's a little bit thicker of a yarn and a little bit stiffer. This one is definitely not as thick of a yarn, so it's a little bit floppier. And then this one's another random one, and it's somewhere in between. So as I am laying it out to join it, I may end up pulling either an extra large one or an extra small one out and crocheting an alternative square. And then, I don't know, using the leftovers for coasters or something. I don't know what I'll use it for. So this is what took up my time while I was not working on the granny stripe. I'm a little back and forth as to which one I want to focus on and make my next finished project. Because for one, I don't know that I can finish that granny stripe, but it doesn't mean I shouldn't still work on it. But in order to work on this one, I need to lay out the squares, decide what order I'm putting them in, maybe crochet replacement squares and block those, and figure out how to do the join. So that doesn't really feel like a going into a new week project. That feels like maybe I will granny stripe for a week and then work on this. Either which way, I think it's going to be a really fun chaos sweater with the dark kind of border colors and all these bright colors. And I'm looking forward to just that. I mean, chaos is the only thing I can think of for how I've decided to design this sweater. But I think it's also going to be beautiful. So that is, I'm really excited about it. As we said, the Jethro kind of replaced the granny stripe. And then since I finished a sweater, I was able to put another something into my sweater bag. This almost always has a garment going in it. It's just kind of turned into that. And it does kind of help keep me slow on garment making because it's like, oh, well, I'd love to start another sweater, but my sweater bag is full. But sometimes I'm a little sad about that. So this is one I may have mentioned working on it 2 weeks ago. I don't know. But it started. So this is the Color Tip Tee by Emily Curtis. And it's going to be a little hard to see some of it, but I have made a little bit of progress. So the yarn that I'm using is, the main color is Ruby and Roses in the color Reputation. It was part of her Taylor Swift collection, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it right now. It is black, but there's like these little undertones of red and maybe a little bit green, and then it's got gold sparkle going through it. So when I picked this color on like the picture, I thought it looked a lot more like oil slick than I think it actually did when I got it and it was wound up. And as I've worked it, I could see a little bit more of that. I do worry a little bit about the size of it because I'm following the instructions. I'm following what my size is, but it also kind of feels like it might be a little bit on the small side. I don't know. I have the gauge. Everything is measuring where it should be. It just, I don't know. Sometimes you work on something and it's like, that doesn't look like it should fit. It'll look too big. It'll look too small. I'm trying to trust the process since everything is measuring at the correct length and width and all of that. So yeah, I haven't gotten too far. But I got the back I think I started it after filming 2 weeks ago. So I got the back finished joining in the front yesterday, and I'm now working on the body until I run out of my first skein of yarn. So I've got a decent ways to go before that happens. And then after that, every time I work on a shirt like this, I run out, as soon as I run out of the skein of yarn I'm working on, I switch to working on the sleeves and the collar. I just find that it helps. It helps with my yarn management because then I can use as much as I want for the length and potentially just run out of the yarn. But also I feel like when I'm doing the sleeves, if you're like picking them up versus sewing them on, which I tend to pick patterns that are not like sew the individual pieces together after you've knit them, it's a little bit easier to do the sleeve when you don't have like a whole sweater going. It will be a short sleeved shirt. So I'm excited because hopefully as soon as I'm done, it'll be a nice time to wear my short sleeve shirts again. I do have a couple of like color tip tees, twisted t-shirts that I have made in the past that have just been sitting in my closet because it's just a little too cold for a short sleeve shirt. But the current plan is to have this for the collar. This is going to be the bottom rib. And then these are going to be ribbing on the sleeves. So these are from Fangirl Fibers. It was a set of, she had a quarterly club that was musical themed mini skeins. And this was the 6 mini set. There's actually 2 additional colors that are a part of it. A yellow and a plain black. I don't know that I will use either of them. Part of the color tip tee is also that it has like a little pocket on it. I don't know if I'm going to make the pocket at all. And if I do, I did consider making it in the plain black. But I don't think I will use the yellow just because I feel like with all the black and the purple, no matter what, that yellow is going to be what draws the eye. And I don't think I want that. But yeah, here it is so far. Not super duper far. It's going to be a little bit slower going than I think part of my brain thought it would be because the last couple of tops I have made, I feel like were both DK weight. At least one was DK weight. And obviously a fingering weight top just goes a lot slower. So it's going to take me a minute to get there. So if you're calculating, that means that I have one more project here to show you as an active-ish project that is not part of my normal rotation. So this one is on the ground. Hold on. So this is actually a resurrected project. I cast it on at the end of December and recently started working on it again. So this is 2025's 24 stripe, the Cozy Knitter Advent Socks. If you buy this, you get 2 skeins of yarn that have 48 stripes each. So usually you end up with enough to make 2 pairs of socks. So for the last couple of years, I've gotten them, and then I make the second pair of socks for my mother. So as Christmas was ending, like the holidays were ending, I just hit a point where I was burnt out with socks, and I didn't want to do any socks for a while. So I instead, in my normal sock knitting time, I've been working on the Quadrophenia. Well, I put one of these in a little yarn bowl. I think when I showed it that I'd started it, I was just at the cuff. I might have been a little bit above it. But I put one of these by my walking pad so I'd have something that I could work on when I walked. So I want to say these I got done one day when I was doing training from home, and then these I did another day during training from home. And so it's just very slowly going in. I mean, this one I'm only on stripe 7. The other sock is technically the reason why I'm showing them. So I had one put in a bag to be ready to travel if I needed a travel sock. And I needed a travel project. I had barely started my color tip tee, and with black yarn, this was not going to work well. I was towards the end of my Quadrophenia, and that meant I was going to have to pay attention to it a little bit too much. That was not going to work well. And the Jethro squares, very, very portable, but it would have meant bringing like this giant basket of yarn with me when I was going to a movie with my husband, We went to see Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, longish movie. So I needed something I could work on there. And I did. I did a lot. So when I got to the movie, I was here. When we left the movie, I was all the way up at the second purple. I got all of that done in the theater watching the movie. I was so proud of myself. And then after that, I made myself do these two because for my mother, after these, it's where I should put the heel in on this sock. So instead of having to think about it and calculate it out again, I just did the next two stripes, and now I will match the other sock to this. It is still something I can just grab if I need to, as a fairly simple one, but technically, like if I went to a movie again, I could just throw that one in this bag and go and have both of them. I do kind of want to get the heel in at some point and pick up the stitches so that it is a semi-portable project again. But yeah, I got a lot of progress on it just because I went to a movie. I have started to kind of want to work on socks again. I really do want to make like some more shorty socks, some more athletic socks. I'm trying to make myself get a little bit more active. So I kind of want to use, and I have some ideas of like combining some scrap yarns. But that's all kind of more of like goals and future plans. But this has helped me start get a little bit of my desire to make socks back, just working on it during one movie. That was all of my finished objects, works in progress, insane ramblings about how I ended up with 5 works in progress. And so now here we are ready to talk about goals. So for my goals for the year, I know some people make very specific goals. Some people don't make goals for their making at all. The last couple years, I've had a couple of goals that were somewhat simple. One of the big ones that has carried on into this year from last year is to try to use more from my stash than I add to it. And part of what I have also been doing is trying to be more intentional with my purchasing. So like, don't just buy one skein of yarn because it's pretty and like, well, it's just one skein, because then all I can really do is do like socks or hats or things. I don't have enough one skein projects that I know how to make and enjoy making. So sometimes that does mean buying more yarn at once, but it's more useful because now I have a sweater's quantity and an idea of what I'm making with it. So with that, just a quick review of kind of what I have done. Last month, I had some simple goals. I did get my 2nd Avenue sweater done. I got the mittens made for my child. I have 2 other projects that are big that are on here that are just going to keep going into the next month. I did get my 6 colors into my Quadrophenia as I wanted to. I only got 11 stripes on my granny stripe, but hey. And then my other thing, if this goes kind of in my big granny stripe Jethro, and the project I didn't show but I did technically work on, is my Coziest Memory. So I don't show this as often as I work on it just because progress on this is slow. This is definitely a back burner project. My current goal is to just get approximately 1 square per week. Some people I've heard of get squares done on this in what feels like no time at all. They've talked about needing maybe like 20 minutes to do a square. Mine take at least an hour. I don't know if I'm just slower at knitting them than other people, if there's something I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing. I don't know, but mine take a little while. But, and that kind of makes it so you don't want to work on it that much because it's a fingering weight blanket. The squares are not that big. This thing is going to take forever. I knew it when I cast it on, and it's why I almost didn't cast it on. It's why I waited like 2 years to make a granny stripe blanket when I was thinking about making it, because some of these scrap projects take a long time. But I did get the 4 squares on it for February that I wanted to, and at about 1 square a week, it just makes sure I keep working on it. And that does go in with my granny stripe and my Jethro, with the idea that I had that I want to do something about my scraps. So at the beginning of the year, the basket I'm working on my granny stripe was full of scrap yarn. I have another basket full of scrap yarn for, that is between 40 and 100 basically grams. Nothing is actually 100 because, that would mean I didn't use it at all and it's not really scraps. But anything that is left over, 40 grams and up. And then this one is between 10 and 5 grams. I have a bag not in here that's anything 5 grams or less that goes into magic knot balls. Oh my goodness, I just totally lost my train of thought. So I have them all separated, and the Jethro came from this basket. So this basket was completely full when I started the squares for the Jethro. I now have 8 yarns left in here. It is almost completely empty. I had 2 yarns that did not go into the Jethro that are currently in quarantine because they looked like they had eggs of some sort in them. They might just be completely gotten rid of. Everything else has been safe and thoroughly inspected multiple times. I do have my cedar balls in here. I may need to just run them on some sandpaper to make sure that the cedar oils are fresh and everything, because they don't really smell very cedary right now. But yeah, when I started it, this basket was completely full. It was like a little bit over, and it is almost empty. This is what I wanted when I started at the beginning of the year and said that I was going to have a focus on scrap projects as well. This one is going to take me flippin' forever. That's why I keep going with my 1 square a week, because hey, that's how it gets done. It's not fast. I'm not sure that will ever be one of my focus projects. It will probably be a back burner project forever. But as a back burner project, it's still getting done. Eventually, this basket full of yarn will all go into it, and it'll either be the size I want it to be, or I will be waiting for more scraps. Working primarily from my scrap yarn has been good and bad, because I am loving, that basket is almost empty. I am so excited about that, and I think this cardigan is going to be such a bright, chaotic beauty. I am loving my granny stripe blanket, things like that. This one, it's so slow, but I love it. It's going to be so... It's going to look like this bright quilt, but it's not. So all of these are making me so happy and so excited. But they also aren't something that I've really tracked. I started tracking my skeins in a spreadsheet. I still need to keep putting more in, because it's not something I'm doing all in one day. I had already gone through all my yarn, and now I'm just slowly cataloging it. But I'm not cataloging these scraps because, as we talked about with the Jethro, there's some in there that I have had for up to 20 years. I don't know what that yarn is anymore. The only thing that I know is a vague idea that it's superwash wool of some sort, because that is what I have bought most consistently for a long time. And I do little things to test here and there before I'm putting them into projects, but it's also just making sure I know if it's a scrappy project. I try to keep my superwash and my non-superwash separate, but just in case, don't throw anything in the washer. So I feel like it's both really gratifying, and it's not going to look like I'm doing a lot of projects that are actually pulling yarn from my stash. And this is why I kind of backburnered the idea of a lot of scrap projects last year. But this year I really wanted to focus on that. And with 2 active projects, one more project that I do kind of want to do, and a back burner project, I feel like I'm making that goal. The other one, so for the month of February, I started out the month with 302 skeins of yarn. I got 1 skein of yarn in for my Yarnable. I sent 1 skein of yarn out for a yarn swap, and then the skein of yarn that I got in from that yarn swap actually was stolen by my daughter immediately and turned into a blanket for her cat. So I did not catalog that into my stash because it never really went into mine. I bought 6 skeins of Cascade Heritage yarn for a very specific project. But when I finished that sweater, I used 3 skeins of Little Wolf Knits, 2 skeins of Knit Picks lace weight and 1 skein of 3 Loves yarn. And then I also did the mittens with 1 skein of Lady Pearl yarn, leaving me with 301 skeins of yarn. So I did buy quite a bit. I used quite a bit, but I ended up at an only -1 for the month. I don't know if I'm going to have something similar for next month or not, because I did order some yarn, another sweater's quantity of yarn, and 1 skein that'll allow me to finish a shirt. But even if I finished everything that I had going on by the end of the month, like, there's nothing that I'm going to pull out of my skeins of yarn for my granny stripe. I would use 2 skeins of yarn for my shirt, 2 skeins of yarn for the Jethro. Like, I have a feeling March is not going to be one where it is a minus skeins of yarn, but I'm still making things that are making me happy, and I feel like that needs to count for something as well. And if I'm getting rid of scrap yarn, I'm getting rid of things that are taking up space in my stash. It's not just like, it is stash yarn, even if it's cataloged differently, and if it's taking up space in my room, in my head, I need to get it out. And so that I need to find a good way to catalog that, and I don't know that I have one right now. All right, so I feel like you guys have been listening to me talk forever. I feel very, very babbly right now. When we come to life stuff, I'm not sure that I actually have a lot interesting to really talk about. In the last 2 weeks, I did do a few days working from home. We had a whole bunch of changes in Idaho with insurance, and so I had to do a whole bunch of paperwork at work, a whole bunch of trainings that were getting far behind. I caught up on everything, but it's also got a lot of information that I can't share. But on top of that, a lot of really boring information that I don't think you want me to share. Like, nobody wants to hear me talk about doing insurance forms, but they got done. The other thing that I have been doing a lot of in the last couple of weeks is just garden planning. But we are barely into March. There's that part of me that's like, let's get out there. I've been watching a lot of videos talking about planning your garden. I'm going to add in some new fruit trees this year. I went and ordered some bricks because we've had old cedar boxes that for 5 years, and for the last 3 years, they've been slowly falling apart, and we've just been like, next year, we'll replace them next year. And the next year comes around and there's a reason why we can't replace them. And so we're slowly starting to replace them. We've ordered a big old pallet of bricks that I'm going to be using to redo my strawberry patch this year and add some berry for sections next to it. So I ordered my bricks. I pre-ordered my trees. They're not going to be delivered yet because as much as I want to get them into the ground, I know that I'm getting that false sense that it's spring. It's not. We are still in winter here, and in Idaho, our last frost is definitely not done yet. Just because we haven't had a lot of snow this year doesn't mean it's actually springtime and ready to plant. But I have been able to get some of that excitement with watching videos of people doing gardens, planning my garden, and ordering the things that I can start working on my garden as the days start to get nicer as well. So I'm doing a lot of garden planning, but not really a lot of garden working. I want to take you with me to build the garden box, but my bricks aren't supposed to be here next weekend, so we'll see if I film any of that to share at all. It's not really going to fit into my normal filming schedule, so we'll see what we do. But yeah, there's a lot that I'm more of planning versus doing. The last couple of weeks, it's just been kind of a keep it easy, try not to stress out. I'd be doing a whole bunch at work and then try to have some downtime. And trying to remind myself that just because it's sunny doesn't mean it's spring and summer. Have some patience. I'm not, I do love, the gloomy, rainy weather, and we're getting quite a bit of that. But we're also getting so much sunshine that it kind of gets you into, ooh, we're almost done with this. It's time for sunshine and spring garden planning. No, it's not. So, yeah, I don't really have a lot of exciting life stuff. We're not really doing much of anything. As I said, my husband and I went to a movie last weekend. If you have not seen Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, it's weird. But that it was good. It was just weird. So, I mean, if you go into it knowing, hey, things are going to get weird, you'll enjoy yourself. I didn't know much about it. My husband told me, like, he picked it out and said, well, there's a guy that's like time traveling and it just looks super weird. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what it is. And his description is pretty good. So yeah, that's all that I have for today. I'm not going to try to let myself get too babbly because it has already happened a lot. And instead, I will end it here. And until we talk again, have a very happy making.